Hi, I'm Nathan and welcome to Ninja Monkey, the place for all things related to Japan. I give travel tips, insights, create fun-related videos, and I'm currently focusing on what's going on behind Japan's closed borders. My aim is to put all the readily available information into one easy-to-follow video so that you can make informed decisions leading to answering the question, when will Japan's border open? I do the research so that you don't have to. And as always, all links are actually included in the video description so that you can do your own reading if you wish to. Timestamps are also available for your convenience too. In this week's video, we will be looking at the reason for the extended state of emergency. I'll continue to give you an easy to follow recap of how the vaccination program is progressing, explore updates to the vaccine passport, and detail what could potentially be an accurate roadmap for Japan reopening for mainly business travel, but also other types of travel too. So make sure you check that out, along with other fun and travel related stories, and I will also try to make sense of some viewer comments too. So let's do this. Tokyo, which is already in a state of emergency, has seen an increase in the cases, and as a result, Japan has extended the state of emergency in Tokyo until the end of August, also adding 3 additional prefectures to the list. A government panel approved the plan to put Saitama, Kanagawa and Chiba, as well as Osaka, under the state of emergency starting on Monday. 5 other areas, including Hokkaido, Kyoto, Hyogo and Fukuoka, will be placed under less strict quasi-emergency type restrictions. So what exactly has caused this extension of state of emergency, which will run through the whole of the Tokyo Olympic Games and mean that the Paralympics start under them too? Well, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government reported 3,300 infections on July the 30th. This is the 3rd day in a row that the 3,000 case mark has been topped. In fact, 3,865 cases were reported on July the 29th, making it worryingly close to the 4,000 mark on this day. This is quite an increase if we actually look at last week's numbers, when cases were just about hitting the 2,000 positives a day mark. Nationwide numbers have also nearly doubled since last week too. I've presented on screen a few more stats for you, including nationwide cases, Tokyo rising numbers, and the amount of PCR tests done nationwide. So please feel free to pause the video if you want to. All stats are up to the latest government officially available data. Interestingly, Olympic organizers have today reported 21 new game-related cases. No athletes made up the latest cases, therefore, the latest daily coronavirus infections from the Olympics have brought the total games-linked number since July the 1st to 241, just for your information. And as we continue to see the vaccination drive accelerate, let's look at how it is progressing. As of the 30th of July, there have now been a total of 84,009,438 vaccinations administered. That's actually 10,038,550 more than last week's update and includes first and second doses. So let's break down this figure even further to fully understand where those doses are actually going. 48,862,145 make up people who have only had 1 dose, and 35,147,293 make up those who have received both jabs and would therefore be fully inoculated. That means that out of a population of around 126 million people, 38.4% have now received 1 dose of the vaccine and 27.6% are fully inoculated with both doses. In actual fact, out of those stats, 73.1% of the elderly are inoculated with both doses, just for your information. In additional vaccine news, also this week, Japan's health ministry approved AstraZeneca's vaccine for use in adults above the age of 40, following the United Kingdom, which previously did the same, with people under the age of 40 being given an alternative to the AstraZeneca shot, which was developed by the University of Oxford and the British-Swedish firm. Additionally, the Health Ministry panel also approved the use of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine for children aged 12 to 17, easing the current restrictions of 18 years old and above. I continue to believe that as a prospective traveller into Japan, it is important to keep an eye on both case numbers and the vaccine drive, as I do think that if a good balance is achieved, things will hopefully start to open up. Staying up to date with these figures, along with keeping an eye on official reports, will help you make informed decisions for any future travel plans. Firstly, JATA the Japan Association of Travel Agents continue to put pressure on the government for some form of reopening. I'll be looking specifically at business track for now, but this should also give clues to others wanting to enter too. In an article published a few days ago, JATA published a framework with a timeline of when they would want to or hope things to start reopening. Looking at the article, I believe that this framework is directly linked with the number of vaccines administered and the percentage of the population inoculated. At the top of the infograph shows the months in which they hope certain things will take place, making it the basis of their predictions. Please bear in mind that this is not official government information. However, JATA are quite a powerful group with information and access to a lot of data, experience and research, which helps it be a good pressure group. I've tried my best to present the most relevant information in English for your convenience, so please feel free to pause the video if you need to. The document explains what we already really know. The national border measures are a big barrier to the resumption of international traffic. To summarize, the document says that with 14 days of quarantine after returning to Japan, and for planned trips, no recovery can be expected, and gives an example of a 3-day quarantine instead. Looking further at this roadmap, we can see that the vaccination progress is more or less on track for 50% of the population to be vaccinated by the end of September and 80% or more on course for November or December, with herd immunity coming sometime in December. This is quite realistic if the current vaccine drive continues at this current rate. According to the JATA roadmap, the recommendation or prediction is for business track to start anytime around or between September and November, with planned reductions in quarantine and increase in foreign entry numbers coming shortly after. The document also shows opening of travel using a digital health pass. This would actually come into effect towards the end of the year with small tour groups. So, remembering that this information is not official, but hopeful nonetheless for what could be a good timeline for mainly business track travelers, but also tourists and maybe even students, but I'm still hopeful that students will be able to enter sooner. How do you feel about this time frame? Do you think a 3-day quarantine and freedom of movement after a further negative test would be acceptable? I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section, so let's get a conversation started. Continuing with more interesting info or news, in what could become a blueprint for other countries, Singapore is aiming for a feat no country has achieved so far: reopen to the world and emerge from the pandemic with a death toll still in the double digits. In a plan laid out by officials this week, Singapore is eyeing the resumption of some international travel by September. To do that, it is trying to reach a vaccination level of 80%, with the government saying that it will put Singapore in a position where it can live alongside the virus. Taking into account that Japan is hoping to reach the same 80% by November, this is certainly a very interesting space to look at. To keep you briefly updated on the progress of the Japanese vaccine passport, Japan has actually started accepting applications for its version of the vaccine passport for people who have been fully inoculated against COVID-19 to travel internationally. According to the Japanese government, Italy, Austria, Turkey, Bulgaria and Poland have agreed to ease COVID-19 quarantine rules for the holders of this Japanese certificate. And South Korea will accept them as one of the documents required to exempt holders from quarantine requirements. However, the Japanese government is currently negotiating with other countries to expand the use of this vaccine passport, with some countries such as France currently refusing if there is no similar deal for French citizens. Last week I mentioned that France now requires vaccine certification or negative tests for most tourist hotspots, including museums and cinemas. And just days after, Italy has followed suit by launching a similar scheme by expanding the digital COVID-19 certificate so that it is required for access to cultural, wellness and entertainment venues in the country. And already, if you're Australian and want to travel on Qantas Airways, vaccination will be compulsory for all stepping onto most international Qantas flights when those flights resume. Therefore, this is an area that I will certainly be keeping an eye on and keep you updated. And in today's last story, and perhaps looking into the future but making a fun topic to talk about, as if it becomes reality it might potentially become another reason or thing that tourists might want to see. The flying car, once the stuff of science fiction movies, is becoming more and more of a reality. The Japanese government has actually set a goal of realizing a flight with passengers on board by 2025, and venture companies are leading the development of the vehicles. Major automakers are also eyeing the huge related markets. Currently, flight time is actually limited, and Tomohiro Fukuzawa, CEO of SkyDrive, talks about the path to practical use, saying, "We will start with flights to and from specific points and gradually expand the range of flights." The Osaka Kansai Expo in 2025 is targeted as an intermediate goal for the spread of the technology. The Japanese government has a plan to use flying cars as a means of transportation between Kansai International Airport and the Expo site, which is nearly 30 kilometers away. Cool, huh? What are your thoughts on this? Would you want to fly in one of these so-called flying cars? I know that I certainly would. So thanks so much for watching this far and staying tuned. Every week I like to answer or highlight a comment. So if you have something you'd like me to answer or just my opinion on, then start sending in the questions and I might select yours in the future. Viewer SK Ajimul Rahman says, "How about Indian new visa entry?" Firstly, thank you so much for your comment and question. I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to write, even if it is to say hello. I wanted to tackle this question because, like yours, I received many similar questions, and unfortunately I am unable to answer them or feel that I should, because nothing has actually changed in regards to any country being able to enter Japan. I understand how frustrating it is for everyone wanting to enter. However, now that there is a state of emergency and it's been extended until the end of August, it is unlikely for any major changes to come into effect until at least September. The roadmap by JATA that I feature in this video will hopefully guide you to make an educated guess as to when things might change. However, I will, as always, keep an eye on this situation for all visitors and update accordingly. I hope this makes sense and that you understand. So if you've watched this far, then hopefully it means that you've liked the video. So please support me by liking the video, as it does tell YouTube that you're interested in this type of content. And if you're not part of Team Ninja Monkey, how about subscribing, turning on the bell notifications so that you don't miss any future updates. So thank you very much for watching. Till next time, arigatou gozaimasu, gracias, thanks, bye.